Hello, it's nice to see you again. And today we're going to talk about the concept of learning some languages part-time. Because recently I've come to the realization that life circumstances don't always enable us to dedicate all the time or the passion we have to something we enjoy doing, because sometimes we have work, we have school, some of you maybe have kids or a family, and we realize that we are actually not able to be regular in something that we would like to accomplish. When it comes to languages, especially as someone who speaks several of them and who works with several of them, I think it's quite obvious that I can't use 10 languages in a day. And I use some languages more often than others, and this also alters a lot depending on the context that I'm in. Like if I'm back at my parents', I don't use Italian a lot, but now that I'm in Italy and I'm studying here, Italian is the main language throughout my day. Recently at university I started taking some classes, namely French linguistics and Scandinavian languages. But I would like to elaborate that in another video because I think there is more to tell to that. French linguistics is the best thing that you can take as a French nerd, and Scandinavian languages is absolutely my favorite. At this point I'm studying for Scandinavian languages. Having a lot of languages integrated in your life like this is absolutely a blessing because it gives your life a kind of structure. Because personally, if I have to be honest, for the most of this year I've been dealing with depression. This is also partially why I didn't post online as frequently as I used to, because basically you don't have any kind of motivation to do that. I unfortunately couldn't achieve to be really regular with language learning except for Finnish, which really represented a new form of challenge for me, and it absolutely kept me entertained. I didn't make a huge issue out of this because, as you know, last year I got all my certificates. So basically when you are certified at a certain language or you attained a really good level, then it's not a huge problem if you are not practicing it every day, because the language is like the foundation is already in your brain. But I must also admit that I'm beyond glad that right now, thanks to my university, thanks to classes, the flow of daily life, I sometimes feel more motivated to do things, and this obviously manifests also in languages or in social media. As my first point, I want to address a certain pressure, the pressure to always be perfect, always be regular, consistent, and never break the cycle. As I said, in real life this is sometimes not possible. If you are maybe a super disciplined human being, which I really appreciate and which I'm striving to be, this can be possible, but still I think we should always prioritize our health, our mental health, and our well-being. And even if it's a well-known fact that consistency is an inseparable part of language learning and language acquisition, there are circumstances where we have to allow ourselves not to be that much consistent, or especially I'm assuming that a lot of people who watch me are actual polyglots and not people who are just trying to learn languages, but this video is still for both of you. But still, for polyglots, I think it's even more possible if you're learning some languages at the background than if you're not studying 5 languages every day, because this is even more limiting. Some cases in which I think learning a language in the background works is especially if that language has already some kind of foundation in you, which can mean that you already speak a similar language. Like if you are a Spanish speaker and sometimes you happen to neglect learning French, I don't think this must be a huge problem because the basics are already in your system and you can always work on that. But if I neglect Finnish for 3 months, probably at the end of those 3 months I wouldn't be able to create a sentence. If I stop practicing Italian for 3 months, then probably nothing would change. Maybe my speaking speed would change, maybe I would lose some advanced vocabulary, but I wouldn't stop speaking Italian because it's already well solid in my brain. And I think, especially as a multilingual people, you should pay attention to this detail because it's technically impossible or super challenging for us to always stay consistent and stay perfect for every language. You will have periods in which you completely focus on one language and neglect all of them, but then that one language is going to be a little bit more strong, and then you will have enough attention to divide to the rest of your hobbies or things that you're learning. Sometimes I think of some languages as that long-term friend you have, like there's nothing wrong in your friendship, but sometimes you just don't speak for a while and then you go back and after some conversation everything is back to normal. And this is something I experienced with some languages that I wouldn't call my best friends that I talk to every day, or that I happen to use every day or that I willingly integrate into my life. Like I would choose to listen to music in that language. I would choose to read 2 books in that language in a month. Not that close languages, but language that I still keep in the background. And I think for a lot of polyglots this is going to be super relevant. Because sometimes I believe that instead of constantly chasing progress or improvement or always trying to achieve the next milestone, we should be able to stop for a while and just observe or enjoy the learning state that we are in and just the current moment. I started learning Dutch in August 2022, right after my trip to Amsterdam. Sometimes I had periods where I was obsessed with Dutch. I would sit and study Dutch 2 hours a day, or I would study Dutch regularly for like 2 weeks every day. But it was like never a main point of my language learning. I think like you can often see Swedish in like my publications and what I'm doing, but Dutch is like more in the background, but it still doesn't change the fact that after 3 years of learning, I'm currently studying B2 Dutch. And I think it's also interesting because Dutch was probably the easiest language I learned. Not like the easiest language, but learning Dutch felt the easiest because everything I did was super simple. Like I learned Dutch fully on Busuu, and I want to thank them for kindly sponsoring this video. I want to talk to you about why I chose learning Dutch on this platform and also what kind of advantages it may bring to you. First of all, I know that Dutch is a super rare language, but still Busuu has all the classes from A1 to B2 that I'm currently doing. And they have all the content that you will need with writing practices, with vocabulary, with grammar explanations, and with all the relevant topics. And I can actually give even more examples, because in the past I also took some help from Busuu to speedrun their entire Spanish course before my C1 exam. And I must say, what they taught was really similar to what we had in the official C1 language exam. And also I did their Russian B2 course as well. But for Dutch especially, it helped me to maintain a super flexible rhythm and still stay fluent and practice the language whenever I felt like doing it. And another thing I really love is that based on your personal goals and how much you study during a day, it also tells you when you are going to reach your goal. And currently I'm supposed to finish B2 in Dutch in a few months. And considering my current schedule at university and all the other things going on in my life, Dutch has been one of the languages I kind of neglected. But today, before planning this video, I just went back to my notes and revised everything I've learned so far in Dutch B2 course, because I've already completed several units. And I realized that the knowledge is never lost. It's always there. It's just waiting for your new revision, new conversation. It's just like a good old friend. It's always there for you. So for the rest of the day and also for tomorrow morning, it's among my plans to keep studying Dutch and also just do my average language things, like I share more about it online, like, because everything I do is at some point connected to languages, I guess. So I think I will take you with me to show you that. So I had kind of scheduled like 30 minutes for Dutch and 30 minutes for my daily Finnish lesson. I have Finnish every day, but not Dutch. I guess I'm going to put like 3 times of Dutch into my calendar. I've completed 1 class, and since I still have time, I can do another one. This one was mostly about job market and stuff, and also like inburgering process to Netherlands and Belgium. Cool stuff. It kind of took some time because there was a dialogue that I had to break down and just become the vocabulary and expressions. I just received a notification that my uncle has reached his daily goal on Busuu today. I guess he was learning Italian, like, because he asked me for like how he could learn it, and I was like, just download Busuu and I'm going to celebrate him. Yeah.
Krijg van het werk. Ik kan zo'n verandering iedereen aanraden. In een internationaal bedrijf. De hoeveelheid werk en stress namen steeds toe.
What is the illusive plural of tili? Tileen. Tilegen.
tileihin.
Tileihin.
Hänellä oli paljon onnea, kun sai uuden työpaikan.
Hänellä
Kalle ja minä suunnittelimme retkeä Lappiin koko kesän.
Kalle ja minä suunnittelimme retkeä Lappiin koko kesän. Mulla on 5 sormea.
Blijkt uit onderzoek. Zo ontdekt het Erasmus MC in Rotterdam dat het embryo kleiner blijft als de moeder veel ultrabewerkt voedsel eet. Een recent Amerikaans onderzoek wijst uit dat het bij...
Hello, good morning. So today I woke up around 8:30. I was planning to wake up kind of earlier, but last night I spent some time editing. So I found myself waking up at 8:30, which isn't problematic, I guess. This morning I mainly revised Finnish. I rewrote the exercises from last night into my notebook because in order to keep everything in mind, I just have to revise them like 3 times. There are a lot of exceptions and rules, and currently I'm just doing some grammar we say in English, right? Currently I'm doing some grammar. And then I spent some time having breakfast and mainly practicing Dutch. I was watching this Belgian series, which I didn't like, but since we don't have a lot of option when it comes to consuming real life content in Dutch, like series, movies and stuff, I still keep watching it, but it doesn't get any interesting, and the Flemish accent is for me quite unfamiliar, even if I also have it in exercises or in lessons, but still it gets difficult without the Dutch subtitles. And then I was planning on studying some German. Actually, I use German a lot, I listen to German a lot, but I haven't studied with my textbook in a while because of all the stuff going on. And I rescheduled it for today evening because right now I have to catch a train in like 20 minutes. So I didn't want to put that into my schedule in the morning. And then I was reading this book. It's in Italian, but it's from Norwegian literature, and I think it's one of the most famous books. And actually, I really like it, even though I'm reading a translation. The language is super rich, and currently I'm quite into Norwegian literature, I guess, because recently I read my first Norwegian book, and I don't speak Norwegian, I'm not learning Norwegian, but I can obviously read in Norwegian, so I think it's just so whimsical when you read in a language you don't speak. Today my French linguistics class is cancelled, so I only have 2 classes in my politics faculty where I'm actually studying but where I don't show up really frequently. I don't remember the last time I was there because I'm always at languages faculty. And guys, I think it's so weird, but when I go to languages faculty, all the students are reading something. They're always with their books in their hand. And in our politics faculty, like, I just don't want to criticize people so openly, but there are people studying, like preparing for exams, but I don't see a lot of public readers. If anyone is watching, which I assume they do, guys, let's normalize reading everywhere in the public. But I think it also makes a lot of sense that language students are reading a lot because we love language. Like, life is made of languages, you guys don't see that. Everything is language. So today I have public philosophy, and then I have philosophy of law. I don't know why I'm studying everything else but politics. This is kind of the point of my degree, I guess. And then during my break I will work a little bit and we will see what I'm still doing. Yes!
Si trova sempre e necessariamente a testimoniare simbolicamente.
I reached the end of my lunch break, so I want to end this video here as I'm going back to class. I spent some time working and also revising Dutch. As you can see, this approach is super beneficial as it helps me to stay connected with the language. And if you also would like to try out Busuu, which I really recommend by the way, you can click the link in the description so you can test Busuu Premium for 7 days. See you in another video and don't forget to follow me on social media. Bye. Ciao!